This is Get Tube Fit with Cornell Green. Getting you motivated to work out, lose weight, and take action. With the help of YouTube and Instagram fitness stars, Cornell brings you interviews that are sure to inspire. Learn how they overcame their struggles and what motivates them to stay consistent in achieving their goals, so you can do the same.
All right. Welcome to the Get To Fit podcast. I'm your host, Cornell Green, and I have a special guest here with me today, Nick Wright from the self-titled YouTube fitness channel, Nick Wright, and also he runs Nick Wright Live. What's up, Nick?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Appreciate you coming on, man. You ready?
I'm absolutely ready.
Awesome, man. Let's do it. If you didn't already know, Nick is a professional bodybuilder, and he has been since the age of 15. He's been featured in the bodybuilding.com, and he's also won multiple bodybuilding competitions during his teens. He now runs the more popular YouTube channel, Nick Wright. Nick, I've given the listeners a brief intro. I'm going to pass it on over to you just so you can share a little bit something about you personal, and then go ahead and introduce your YouTube channel, man. Take it away.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Really quick for the listeners, a little correction there. I'm not officially a pro bodybuilder, as in I don't have a pro card yet. Although you can technically say I'm a pro because the definition is to get paid for your profession, and I do get paid for bodybuilding. So
Right, you're a professional.
Yeah. So in that sense, I am. Thank you for the intro. You covered a lot of it. Like you said, I began bodybuilding at 15 years old. I've done about 7 shows now. Been competing for 8 years. Got my first sponsor at 18 years old. My first magazine cover at 19, and then managed to get on TV twice for bodybuilding between the ages of 20 and 21. So my YouTube channel is simply youtube.com/Nick Wright. And like you said, I do have my second little channel that's more just for fun. That's Nick Wright Live. And that's just something I upload on here and there.
Right. Good stuff, man. Well, I appreciate you sharing that, man. If you don't mind, we're going to jump right into this interview and learn a little bit about you as well as your channel. And where we're going to start is basically early struggles, man. We all have them. We all deal with them. You know, you've been doing this bodybuilding and YouTube thing for a really long time. If you could, please share a short story about your beginning fitness journey where you encountered some form of struggle or resistance that you had to overcome. And then from there, the lessons that you learned from that whole experience.
All right. Well, I experienced, probably based on the comments I get, what is one of the most common issues kids, especially young kids who are either really skinny like I was or really overweight when they began. And that's basically getting laughed at and ridiculed by your friends and peers at school for wanting to bodybuild. Bodybuilding is obviously not a mainstream sport. It's very misunderstood. To the outsider, it's a bunch of meatheads flexing in thin underwear. So it's definitely a little unusual for most people. But then to add insult to injury, if you're incredibly skinny like I was 104 pounds my freshman year. So, you know, girls my age were stronger than me. You kind of get laughed at the idea of wanting to bodybuild. So when I began, I started telling my friends, and the word quickly got around. And I went to a very small, cliquey school, and it got so bad. It was odd because I was always a very social person, so I wouldn't necessarily say I was bullied. A lot of these people were my quote-unquote friends.
Okay.
So it was kind of in the form of ball busting, but you know how it is. Ball busting can get serious enough and add up to the point where it's more stressful than ball busting. And it gets to the point where I remember I couldn't say a single word. I go to a party, and I would say something like, "Oh, I'm tired. I was up late." And that little thing right there would turn into some sort of joke making fun of me bodybuilding. Somebody would be like, "What were you up what were you up doing? Finger curls late last night?" And then somebody else would jump in. "These are my," like just imitating me, flexing, like
right, just picking on you.
Constant, yeah. And again, I mean, at the time, I didn't think too much of it because, again, I took it all as ball busting because no one really came off like they were trying to put me down. But looking back on it, that has a really, really big effect on you. So what I found would end up happening is I would lose confidence in, basically I wasn't displaying how proud I was of my own passion. So in other words, if somebody brought up bodybuilding, like if somebody ever rarely asked me a serious question about it, "Oh, like, how's it going? How are you progressing?" I would instantly assume they're going to start attacking me with some sort of sarcastic insult and put down, and I would quickly try to either make fun of myself jokingly or just change the subject altogether. Anyway, long story short, what I picked up from this is eventually when I began gaining the confidence to excitedly discuss and talk about what I was doing, as in I didn't just cut it off with a short little answer or a short little deflection. And I really began actually just saying, yeah, I am bodybuilding. I'm looking to go into this and do this. I found when I showed confidence in my passion, other people began respecting it a lot more. So the lesson I learned from that is anytime you want to start something big, whether you're a musical artist or a bodybuilder or an athlete wanting to go pro, anytime you have a big, larger-than-life dream that doesn't fit into America's little structure that they've built for you where you have to be a little worker, people are going to make fun of you for it, and they're going to laugh at you, and they're going to point a finger at you and basically say you're an idiot for thinking you can do this and wanting to do it. And what I've learned is if you stay consistent, don't worry about what they say, and at the same time, show confidence in your passion, excitedly talk about it, and don't be afraid and shy away from what you love, you will end up changing their minds, and people will begin to slowly respect you. And that started happening, and fast forward now, some of those same kids that were giving me a hard time, I've actually seen on my Facebook fan page asking questions.
Well, you a grown man now, man. That's grown man muscle right there. So I could definitely see the conversation would be a little bit different at this point in your life.
Oh, much different. Yeah, it's crazy. I actually now am referred to as the big kid at any typical party or social event I go to.
And that's not a bad thing at all.
Not at all. It feels pretty cool.
Awesome, man. Thank you, man. I appreciate you sharing that, man. With that being said, we're going to jump right into basically motivation, man. At this point in your life, you've been through a lot. You've learned a lot. You're basically OG in the fitness game, primarily YouTube and bodybuilding in your niche. At this point in your life, how would you view motivation? What does it mean to you? You know, what does it mean to you as it relates to, I got to get up and do this? What drives you?
Well, forgive me if this isn't super clear because it's off the top of my head, but I've thought about this a lot. What I believe motivation is simply having goals. You have to have a goal that you want to achieve so badly in order to stay motivated. See, the average person that just tells you they want to lose weight or get in shape with no real goal, they just want to look better on the beach and not be made fun of, they're typically the ones who you will see jump into the gym for a little bit and then they kind of fall off. Or they get on a diet for a little bit and then they fall off. And simply put, it's because there's no real clear goal there. So what you have to do to stay motivated is you have to have a very clear, it can't just be a vague goal, it has to be a very clear, definitive goal that you want to achieve. And if you really want to go above and beyond, you have to want to achieve that specific goal more than you even want to breathe. And a goal doesn't always have to be long-term, grand scheme goal. You can have one of those, and that's great.
Right.
But what helps even more is to break it up into little short-term goals. And I got to tell you, I mean, when I first began bodybuilding, I wanted to compete. That was it. I wanted to be the best bodybuilder. I wanted to compete. That was enough for me, and that drove me every single day.
Straight out the gate. Like, once you made your decision, you wanted to be a bodybuilder.
Exactly. Okay. And I'll tell you that motivation can come and go. The goals can come and go, because even now, I'm 22, and this past year, I really kind of fell off of bodybuilding competitively anyway. Just because I kind of lost an interest in it a little bit. I've done it for 8 years. I was kind of losing the interest in it. I wanted something with a little more athleticism. I wanted to switch it up. And the motivation wasn't there for a little bit until I stumbled into powerlifting, which all my subscribers know that I've been doing recently. And that fired me up. So now my goal is to be the best powerlifter in a drug-tested organization. I want to break a world record one day. So that's fired me up to keep going. So it's all about goals.
All about goals. Awesome, man. Well, you know, with that being said, I know you have a lot of friends and family that look up to what you've done and what you've accomplished, primarily in the fitness world. So if you could, how would you pinpoint somebody who, like you said, is that on and off dieter, who's that, you know, that yo-yo dieter who struggles with staying consistent? What would you say is the reason why so many people can't stay committed to eating healthy, exercising on a regular basis? And if you have a way to pinpoint that, what would you recommend to them?
Literally, I think it would be the exact same thing I just said. It'd literally just be a lack of a goal is probably the only reason anybody would become unmotivated or not be able to stay on some program. There are some other factors. Perhaps there's doubt. Maybe they're not, the goal isn't realistic to them. They're not really sure they can achieve it. And maybe they might fall off or not take it quite as seriously. But again, I think that would become really more just your goal isn't clear and definitive enough.
You got to have a big enough why, basically.
Exactly. So simply put, you need to have a goal. And I can relate to it too. When it comes time to diet, say I want to get my abs back for summer, I have a hard time staying on a diet even just to get abs back. Not even having to go months on end for a competition shred, just to get my abs back. I have a hard time staying on a diet like that if it's just for summer because it's not for anything. I don't have to be ready by a certain date for a competition or a photo shoot. But then you give me an actual objective, you give me a competition that I have to compete in at this date, then I'm going to be balls to the wall on my diet until I get to my conditioning. So it's all about a goal.
Awesome, man. Thank you. I'm definitely looking forward to that cut on your channel, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Moving on, man. This part of the show basically is your opinion on how you view a certain quote. Now, I pulled this quote from somebody that I respect, Royal Vaden, and he has a book called Taking the Stairs, The 7 True Steps to Success. Success is not owned, it's rented, and the rent is due every day. How does that resonate with you?
I like that. I like that because I think that really ties into the biggest problem people have, which is a sense of self-entitlement.
Right.
The problem is a lot of people feel they're entitled to success. A lot of people feel they deserve to be at this spot. They deserve to be at this place, and no one really wants to put in the work for it. So I like that. Success is rented, and you have to pay the rent every single day. Because if you slow down, you're not going to get there, and you're not going to maintain it.
That's why I love it, man. And you can apply it to any aspect of your life. Whatever the case may be, you got to put in the effort for whatever it is you're trying to do every day and know that there are no days off.
Even just keeping that mentality in your head is going to require daily effort. So, yeah, it literally is everything.
Awesome, man. Well, we're going to go ahead and shift gears, man. I have a segment of this show that's called Say It Again, where I choose a YouTube channel from your archive, and hopefully you can remember. And if you could, share with the listeners the message that you were trying to get across in this video. All right, you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Well, I went back 2 years, basically September 26, 2012. Now, there were a lot of them to choose from, and you have almost 600 videos. You're pushing up to 100,000 subscribers. So I pulled this one, and you went into a chest video, and basically the video was titled Nick Wright Chest Workout 2012, and I'm gonna play a short snippet for you here. And if you could share with the listeners the message you were trying to get across, and see if we can kind of come to terms on what I thought you were saying.
All right.
What's going on, guys? It's Nick Wright from Nick Wright Bodybuilding, and lately I've been getting a lot of comments like Nick Wright's reached his genetic limit. You know, Nick Wright's not progressing. Nick Wright isn't growing at all. He's going to be left in the dust while Matt Ogus and Chris Jones, they really take off. He's not in the teens, needs to jump on the juice. And these comments kill me, not because they're insulting, but because they're true or halfway true. They're true in the sense that I'm not progressing and that I can't hang with my friends like Chris and Matt anymore. And that's unfortunate because when I first came into the game, I was one of the top competitors in natural bodybuilding. But what bothers me most isn't the fact that they're calling me on it, it's the fact that they believe that I'm still putting in the same effort and these minimal results are what I'm getting out of that. And that eats me up because it's my own fault. I'm not putting in the effort. I haven't been applying the eating and the nutrition and the training like I used to back when I was a teen. The fact that I've been plateauing and not progressing like these other competitors have isn't because of my genetic limits or anything like that. It's literally just because I fell off and I have nobody to blame except for myself in this situation. And it eats me up personally because I'm reading these comments of people thinking that I don't have what it takes when in fact I do. And of course I can't sit there and argue and say, no, it's just because I haven't been trying as hard as everybody else has. Because that's lame.
All right, man. What you think?
Yeah, I remember that video. The second you started playing it, I started smiling.
Awesome, man. Yeah, well, if you could, man, share with the listeners the message you were trying to get across in that video. I didn't play the whole thing, so guys, you're going to have to check out Nick's channel and look it up and see for yourself following the show. But if you could, please share what you were trying to say over the whole video.
All right, that was a good one, actually. That ties in pretty much what I was saying about the goals. Basically, there was a point where I fell off of bodybuilding, where I kind of burned out from bodybuilding and I lost interest in it. So I didn't have a definite goal that I wanted more than anything. I was just kind of maintaining bodybuilding. And this was obviously before I found powerlifting.
Right.
But I hadn't really realized that I had burnt out from bodybuilding yet. I didn't really know what it was. All I know is that the drive wasn't there like it was a year before that. So I was still maintaining training. I was still maintaining the videos, and I was still making gains, but my jump in gains wasn't as dramatic as it had been the previous years when I was hungry for those competitions. And I started getting called on it, rightfully so. I love my following, I love my subscribers, and they kick it to me real deal. They catch me when I'm slipping. So I have been getting some comments here and there at that time. You know, Nick, you're not really progressing like you were the years before, like what's happening? And it got me thinking. And that was me basically just being honest with myself, being honest to myself, and then explaining to the subscribers, you know, what the deal had really been. And that was me just kind of saying, you know what, these comments hurt, or they sting anyway, but they're true. You're giving me the ugly truth. You're right. And that kind of fired me up and gave me another goal, and that was to basically, at that time, just improve, get that hunger back, get those gains going again like it had been the years before.
Awesome. Well, I definitely don't like to focus on the negative, but the positive that I got out of that video, Nick, was basically that you had to change your environment. You stated that you had to go move with your cousin to be in an environment where you can focus on your goals so you can do the things that you say that you want to do. Sometimes, you know, if you really want to make things happen, your environment can play a big role into why you're not achieving your goals. So whether it's the food in your refrigerator or the people you're surrounding yourself with, if it's taking you away from doing the things you know you need to do, then you got to separate yourself from it. And I got that part from the video, but I totally understand where your viewers try to call you out basically on what they felt you should or should not be doing.
Yeah, you're dead right too, because I basically only elaborated on that little clip that you played right there. But yeah, if you go into the whole entire video, and if you look at the videos that surround that one video at that same time frame, you're definitely right. My environment was a big thing. I remember doing a full video on why I was moving from Rhode Island to Virginia. There was a lot of drama going on, you know, personal, friends, family, all that. There was, you know, ex-girlfriends going on, just bad influence friends in the wrong places. I ran with a lot of bad crowds when I was younger, so I basically just I needed to get away from all of that and mentally get into that place where I could become focused again. So you hit the nail on the head with that.
Awesome, man. I appreciate it, man. So, you know, with that being said, you know, you're focused now. You know, I see the activity on your YouTube channel, and I just really think you're doing really big things. So if you could point to one habit that you say attributes to your fitness success, what would that be?
Oh, boy. One habit. Man. I mean, are you talking like day-to-day habits? Are you talking more
day-to-day, just one thing you have to do that contributes to you being the Nick Wright that you are today?
Honestly, it's the little things that count for me personally. So for me, it'll be something as little as I have to get a good solid meal in the morning. And now that sounds kind of funny, but the thing is, I no longer have a 9 to 5, so I can sleep in whenever I want. And what I have a habit of doing, since I'm not super hungry in the morning, is getting up, go right to the computer, start doing work on the site, work on whatever, and I'll end up fasting until like midway through the day. And what I found is it doesn't really affect my training, it doesn't really affect anything as long as I'm getting the calories in. But for me, if I stop everything and I go and I make the shake that I've shown on YouTube a bunch of times, my morning shake, it's very specific.
Right.
That sets me off for the day. That mentally, I feel like I'm eating. I feel like I'm putting the nutrients into my body. I feel like I'm getting fuller. I feel like just doing what I need to do as a lifter and a bodybuilder. And it's completely mental, and it sounds silly, but that little thing will definitely keep me going.
Well, we're going to move on, man, to the juicy stuff, and that's YouTube and your channel.
All right.
So I want to start off with asking you this question, man. This is, correct me if I'm wrong, but your first video was uploaded November 8th, 2007.
Yeah, that might be right, actually.
That's right. Yeah, it was a throwback. So,
yeah.
Definitely go check it out, man. You definitely have an archive and a good history on your progression to where you are today. But with that being said, if you can describe the person you were then to the person you are now, where are you mentally now compared to where you were then?
Back then, I was definitely more delusional. I had a little bit more of, that little dog syndrome, narcissistic, think I'm better than I really am kind of an attitude.
Yeah.
And at the time that was necessary. That helped me because I didn't sit there and analyze myself and how I looked. I just knew that I wanted to get on stage and I knew that I could be the best and I wanted to go and kill everybody on stage. Literally little dog syndrome. And it helped me because it helped me force my way into the scene. If I had the mentality that I do now, which is I guess you could say the big dog syndrome, where like I'm very realistic with myself. Now I'll look at myself and I'll be like, all right, I have average genetics. I have average.
You're confident.
Yeah, I'm confident, and I'm confident enough to just be real with myself. I can admit when I have flaws. I can admit that I'm not the best now. But if I had this state of mind that I did back then when I was this little 14-year-old, I probably wouldn't have ever gotten on stage because I'd look at myself and be like, all right, I'm nowhere near ready. So it kind of helped. I basically had almost like a narcissistic little dog syndrome attitude back then that forced me to get on the scene and start moving. And as I've grown the muscle, as I've grown the following, I've come down. I'm back down on planet Earth now. I've got a lot more level head. I don't think too much about myself ego-wise, and I think that helps because now that I have a big following, I don't think anybody would like me if I still had that little dog attitude. So
you've seen the growth then.
Basically, just more self-confidence, and with that, a lack of needing to project a false sense of confidence, if that makes sense.
Awesome, it does. So moving on, well, staying on the topic of YouTube, what excites you right now about your YouTube channel / business as it relates to Nick Wright bodybuilding?
Man, definitely progressing with this powerlifting routine I'm on. I'm never going to ditch bodybuilding, but right now I've been doing a powerlifting routine, and I've been progressing with it. And honestly, the most exciting thing for me is bringing the camera into the gym every day, not only being able to challenge myself and see what I do on this routine, see how well I do it, see what weight I do, how many reps I get out of it, but then being able to share it with everybody. I love being able to film, talk to my viewers, and then edit it all up and put up the progression. So that has been a huge, huge thing for me. And as far as the business goes, I mean, I just love YouTube, honestly. YouTube pays me, and that's enough for me. I just love making the videos and putting creativity into it. And of course, we got the clothing line started up, which I'm kind of excited about too, because it's just a way to kind of put some fitness clothing out into the mainstream.
If you could name another fitness YouTube channel that you're personally subscribed to that provides helpful content to the YouTube fitness world.
I'm sure any one of my subscribers knows this, but I have to say right now, Johnny Candido Training HQ is the YouTube channel name. He's more or less my mentor right now in powerlifting. I'm using his program, so every video I do is documenting, my progress on his program. I'm on a 6-week program right now. I'm a fan of a lot of different YouTubers. As far as I'm supportive of them. I'm friends with a lot of them. I look at a lot of videos. I like a lot of them. I support them all. Johnny is one of the only channels I'm a legitimate fan of, though. Like, I will jump to see his new video. I keep in touch with him all the time. He is hands down probably one of the most informative YouTube channels consistently, with no gimmicks in between, no BS, just complete good information, and he knows what he's talking about, and he's incredibly strong.
Awesome, man. So he's like your mentor.
Basically, yep. He's got me going, and he's the one I go to for questions and all that, so for sure.
Good stuff, man. A lot of people look up to you, and it seems like there's a new graduation of kids coming up wanting to be bodybuilders or wanting to be a stronger version of themselves every year. I think your content and your message can go on forever because there's always going to be a next generation looking to be bigger and stronger. If you could give somebody some advice on starting their own fitness channel to be like you and where you are, what would you tell them?
I would tell them, don't even focus on the channel. Focus on what your passion is, hands down. And what I mean by that is, when my channel does well, or when it started off and it was doing well, and all the times that it does well now, because we all go into little hot and cold phases where you're not putting out the best content for a little bit, but then it always picks back up. And right now, I think it's doing very well. And it's always when my passion is at its peak. So when I first came on the scene, I was so passionate about competing, dieting, and bodybuilding, doing the competitions. All YouTube was just a little camera to the side of me, filming all of it. Now, I love the powerlifting, the training. All YouTube is it's a camera documenting all of that. So my focus is in the passion. It's not on the YouTube channel and getting content out and this and that. The content and the good YouTube quality comes with the passion. And to kind of put it into perspective, the contrast to that would be if you want to start a YouTube channel and you just want to do it for, what you could call, I guess, YouTube fame. It's only fame in the fitness industry, so it's not real fame, but, if you only want to do it for the popularity and you only want to do it for, like, the money or whatever, you're going to absolutely flop. You're going to 100% fail. Because you're going to come out with a couple of decent videos that are covering a topic probably every other channel is covered already, so how to diet, how to train. And then you're going to run out of things to post because you're not going to have anything to track progression-wise. What do you do once you've done your videos on eating and training? There's nothing else. Unless you yourself are going into a competition of some sort, then you can track the progress of that, and that's what will get people hooked, following your journey with you. So if you're doing it just to put some content out, don't even do it. Have something you're passionate about. Be involved with something real within your life that you think is great enough to you to share. And then I guarantee you the views will come. One little quick piece of advice, guys. Most people don't know this. To run a quality YouTube channel, I mean, anybody can turn on a little webcam and do some vlog videos. That's easy. But if you want a quality YouTube channel, it's pretty close to a full-time job. It takes hours. It takes precision editing. So be ready for that.
If you're not going to make it, one of your full-time ventures starting off,
yeah,
it's a lot of work, basically.
Exactly. It's going to take a lot of time out of your hands. And again, you have to have the passion behind it. Like anything, like music, like art, you have to have the passion there. If you're doing it for the money and the fame, you're not going to get very far.
Well, we're about to finish this show up, man, but if I could, man, we're going to finish it up by getting a book recommendation, man. I'm a big-time reader, and hopefully you are too. So if you could share with the readers, or the listeners rather, a book that you would recommend for them to get going and get motivated.
Well, everybody knows the Arnold Schwarzenegger Encyclopedia. That's a pretty good one. I mean, I had that when I just started off. I wouldn't use it as your full-on Bible, but, because there's always questionable information everywhere you go. But it's good for the basics for sure if you're a beginner. And I'll tell you one book that I want to get that I have not read yet, but I've been recommended by numerous of very reliable sources, is The Supple Leopard. And that's all about mobility, basically getting your mobility up to par, which is going to benefit your lifts in every single way. So The Supple Leopard is what I want to read next, and the Arnold Schwarzenegger Encyclopedia to Bodybuilding is what I started off with. Probably my two recommendations.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that, Nick. Well, we're going to close this show up here. Basically, we're getting the motivational quote by you in your own words. So if you got something to definitely leave us with, man, go ahead and let us have it.
Oh, boy. I would just say, well, I'll give you two. One is one that I've actually always lived by that's not mine. And I swear to God, it was the one I fell in love with my freshman year of high school, and I decided I was going to use it as my senior quote. 4 years later, I put it in my senior quote as the yearbook, and I've had it on my gym wall forever. And that's Ronnie Coleman's, if you always do what you always done, you'll always get what you always got. I love it because it's double meaning. It's the way he uses it is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. He always did the same routine, won the Olympics, he kept it that way. The other way you can use it is if you're not making progress, something's got to change. So I like the double meaning there. For me, honestly, I don't think I even really have a quote, to be honest with you, because I don't like something.
That works for me, man. Long as you're giving us something that we can hold on to, man, that you use to inspire you and keep you going. I know you look very highly up to Ronnie Coleman, and definitely I appreciate you sharing that, man. So, Nick Wright, man, I appreciate you coming on to the show, man. It's been a pleasure. You've been really cool to deal with, and anybody that's looking to get more information about Nick and his journey and the information on this show, please visit www.get2fit.com/Nick Wright. You'll have all the information there on what we talked about today. Nick, man, if you could, man, finish up with anything you want to share with the listeners about where you can be found and what you have going on.
All right, everybody, I appreciate you guys listening. Find me on YouTube. Just type in my name, Nick Wright. It's youtube.com/Nick Wright. I'm on Facebook, Nick Wright Bodybuilding. You can't miss it. My Instagram and my Twitter are probably my two most active pages. And those are just Nick Wright's NWB on both of them. And, of course, hit up my website, nwblifestyle.com. If you get any clothing at all, feel free to email me. There's an email right on the website. Email me a picture of you rocking the clothing. And if you have a YouTube channel, an Instagram, a website, whatever, that you want to get promoted, include it. And I'll post you on the member site in my fan page, and I'll include the link to whatever your site is.
Awesome, man. Thank you, man. I appreciate you. So y'all make sure y'all check him out, man. Support YouTube Fitness, support Nick Wright. Nick, again, man, thank you for coming on the show, man.
Hey, thank you for inviting me. It was a pleasure.
All right, man. That's a wrap.
This has been Get Tube Fit, the podcast with Cornell Green. For more info on today's show, hit up gettubefit.com. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you on the next episode.